Hello there, my crest-wearing companions, and welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. men's national team soccer podcast. The COPA America tournament is quickly upon us. It actually starts later on tonight or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this video. Will the United States actually have a shot? Could they win it? Is Argentina going to run it back? Is Brazil going to come back into the limelight? Or is another outlying team going to get it? We're about to lay out all of our predictions coming up. Stick around. All right, everybody, the United States is about to host this COPA America 2024 in preparation for the 2026 World Cup. The United States looking to make a big statement on the world stage and potentially break out into some of the elite categories. So we are going to head on over and we are going to break down the COPA America groups. We're going to go through, give you a little bit of rundown, do of our predictions, and we would love to hear from you in the comments. So whether you agree, disagree, doesn't matter. You know how things work around here. Hit that like button. If you like the content enough, please go ahead and subscribe. And by all means, whether you like it or not, comment. Tell us your predictions. Rip our predictions apart. Anyway, let's head on over there and let's check out what we got going on. All right, so here we are with the COPA America groups. And we're going to start with Group A. Group A being Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Canada, with the former U.S. men's head coach, potential candidate, Jesse Marsch, who stuck around to try to coach in Europe and didn't get a job and didn't want to coach the United States and now is coaching for Canada. So interested to see how that is going to go. So the first game is going to be June 20th at 8 p.m. It is Argentina and it is Canada. Now, Canada has a really strong team. They have a bunch of young talent. They got a lot of guys playing overseas, and they have just played so well together collectively as a unit. It's been one of the most impressive things about Canada. They have like one of the nastiest left wingers, period, playing for Bayern Munich. And I'm going to completely blank on his name, and I really shouldn't. His name will eventually come back to me. You can rip me in the comments for not remembering that. But I've really enjoyed the way that Canada's team plays with like Buchanan. They play together well as a unit. Now, you're playing against Argentina. Yes, Messi's going to be on it, but Messi's been playing in the MLS. He's still Lionel Messi. This game, honestly, could kind of be a toss-up. I'm thinking my prediction for this game is going to be 2-1 Argentina. I do think Canada has a chance. I think Canada has the ability to score goals. I think we will see Canada score a goal, but I'm thinking 2-1 or 3-1 Argentina. These next series of games, this is where life is going to get really interesting. So we have Peru versus Chile. Both of these teams are really, really solid teams. We've seen Peru kind of have up and down years. The same with Chile. Just have like a breakout season where guys are, putting up goals right and left, and the team is competing, and they're making a run for stuff. Peru, kind of on the back end of things, been doing what it needed to be doing. So I'm going to give this one to Peru 2-0. Then we're going to see Peru play Canada. I do think that Canada has what it takes to be the second team in this group, although the games are going to be very close. Given that I have Canada competing against Argentina, I think that this game is going to be a 2-1 win for Canada over Peru. And then I think Chile is just going to get absolutely stomped. I think Argentina is really going to be feeling themselves. I think the exact same thing is going to happen in the Peru game. And then I think Canada is going to sneak out a 1-0 win over Chile, which would be leaving Argentina coming out in 1 with Canada coming out in the 2 slot for this. Does it matter if Peru and Chile... what I have going on here, I don't have Chile winning a game, so that would me having Peru and then Chile, if it's relevant to have the third and fourths. I don't know if it's relevant to have the third and fourths, but either way. Ecuador, got a lot of fan support in the last World Cup. They obviously had just a couple just beautiful goals that really got people fired up in the group stage, and they're definitely one of those like underdog teams that people were hoping for and pushing for. They're in the group with Mexico, Venezuela, and Jamaica. So again, we're CONCACAF people. We know that CONCACAF typically hasn't been super strong, but they do have a lot of up-and-coming talent. And as far as the groups go, I think that Group B is going to be the most competitive group as we kind of scroll to look. Group D seems pretty clear-cut. It's Brazil and Colombia. Which one of those teams finishes on top? Who knows? The United States and Uruguay, it seems pretty clear-cut, with the United States and Uruguay being the top two, but it's the United States. We've butchered games against Panama before, so that means we could butcher games against Bolivia. Who knows? The Group C seems like it could be clear-cut, but again, we'll get to that with my predictions. Group A, it's Argentina, and then kind of anybody's up for grabs. But when we look at Group B is the group of death for this Copa America, and these games are all going to be super, super tight. Now, I do think that Ecuador, as I don't do that, I do think that Ecuador has a really good chance at winning a lot of these games, but I know that Venezuela, their manager has done a really great job in tough situations with a bunch of random players, thriving on being the underdog. So this game could be kind of crazy. I do think that we could see a 1-1 result, and I think that this group is going to open up really, really interesting, and I think it's going to open up with 2 sets of draws. Mexico has been struggling to get themselves up and going. They did have a really strong performance against Brazil. I'm not going to discredit that, but Jamaica has a bunch of young talent, and they are definitely going to be looking to put themselves on the scene as they prepare to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. They seem to be in the driver's seat. They were one of the teams that was just out, and now that you've taken Mexico, the United States, and Canada all out of qualifying, as they're underway in their qualifying, Jamaica is definitely one of the top teams to try to take it. And I think Jamaica is going to make a really, really good stance here. And I think that they're going to continue that stance, putting up goals with a 2-0 result over Ecuador. That's bold. That's probably my boldest prediction so far of the event. And I also think that we're going to see Venezuela. Mexico is going to show up. I think Mexico is going to show up against Venezuela. They're going to do a little bit of work. I think Venezuela might shock us here. And then I think Mexico is gonna sneak out this game against Ecuador. So these games all are going to be really, really close. This Jamaica game, I could see this game being tighter 1-0. I could see it being 2-1. It's probably more like going to be 2-1 because I really can't see Jamaica not conceding to this Ecuadorian side. So we'll see. I mean, this group is going to be really, really wild. I wouldn't be surprised if Jamaica tops the group. I'm going to take a look real quick as I pause, just to see what Chris and Ryan had predicted for this group. So for Group A, Chris had Argentina coming out on top with Peru coming out in second. So 7 points and 3 points. In Group B, Chris actually has Jamaica coming out on the bottom with Mexico and Ecuador. And he's got it super tight. Mexico was 7, and then it's 3-2-2. So actually his first 2 groups are 7 points, and then 3 points, 2 points, and 2 points. Very well could be. If we go through, I have Mexico with 1 point. I have Mexico with 3 and 3. So I also have Mexico with 7 points coming out of the group in first. And then I have Jamaica with 5 points coming out in second, I believe, because I have Ecuador with just the 1, which is probably not accurate. It probably won't pan out that way. And then I believe I have Venezuela with 2 points. So I have Venezuela in third and Ecuador in fourth. For what it's worth. Okay, Group C. Just kidding. We got to save the United States for last. We got to keep you guys here. We already know you've been clicking through the video just to see where I got, and you're probably going to skip to the end and, hope to see the whole thing and be disappointed for whatever I have laid out because you're really looking for this. But anyway, so Group D, Colombia, Paraguay. I think this game's going to be pretty straightforward. 6 might be bold. I think Brazil's going to get rolled. I think it's going to be the exact same thing here. Costa Rica just going to get absolutely lit up. Brazil's going to make no mistake with any of these teams. I think Costa Rica will struggle here. So the easy ones, Colombia beating Paraguay. I mean, scores, the reality is the scores are sort of just for fun because it's really the result, right? So like the results are like, I think Argentina is going to beat Canada. I think Peru's going to beat Chile. I think Canada's going to beat Peru, right? Like those are results. The scores are just the scores for fun so that I can take a look at it and go, oh, did I even get the scores right? Colombia is going to win against Paraguay. Brazil is going to win against Costa Rica. Colombia is going to win against Costa Rica. Brazil is going to win against Paraguay. Paraguay is probably going to win against Costa Rica. Costa Rica does have a really, like, Costa Rica is a talented squad. Do not get me wrong. I just lean more on the South American nations to perform better than the Concacaf teams. We've watched the Concacaf teams. They look good against other Concacaf nations. They play a very strange style of soccer. I'm not a fan of the Latin American style soccer. I'm just not. So I think that when it gets stacked up against that South American style, it's not going to work out that great. Now, I do believe that Brazil's going to win this game. Like, solely because it's going to determine their spot going into the knockout. And I think, like, if they're playing C, the Group C teams, so, like, the Group C winner is going to play the Group D runner-up and vice versa. So, like, if we win, like, I don't know how they feel about either one of those. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of, like, semantics being played in this. This game could go either way. And so I could see like Colombia get like stealing this. But I think I'm just going to give it to Brazil 1-0, even though this could, this is like, I'm like 65%. This is like a 65-35 or a 60-40 game. Brazil-Colombia. This is super tight. This is a super tight game. Or super tight group. So this is obviously just going to kind of go right down the thing here. Literally, I think they're already in the order that they're going to be in. So that's going to leave us with Brazil coming out as the winner and Colombia coming out as the runner-up. That's going to have us with Mexico as the winner, Jamaica as the runner-up, Argentina as the winner, Canada as the runner-up. Now here we go. United States, Bolivia. I think the United States is going to show up in an unprecedented fashion for this tournament. And we know, if we know anything about knockout stage types of tournaments where you have to play in, or not knockout stage, group stage, where you play in these pools, the first game is the most important game. And you have to set a stance and you have to set a statement. I think Bolivia is going to come out strong. I think the United States is going to come out stronger. And I think that we're really going to be ready to go. And I think we're going to beat Bolivia 3-0. I think we're going to get a goal from Pulisic, we're going to get a goal from Folarin Balogun, and we're going to get a goal from Timothy Weah, I think, in this game. And I really think that, like, defensively we'll be fine. Matt Turner will have to make a couple saves and keep us in it, but for the most part, like, that's what the result's going to be, and it's going to look super great for us to be able to do it that way. Uruguay is going to play Panama. I don't think this game is going to be super tight. I think Uruguay is going to take it pretty comfortably. I think then we're going to play Panama. We struggle a little bit with the Latin American teams, but given how we've performed in the Nations League, given how we've performed in World Cup qualifying and in the Gold Cup and all that over recent years, I think that we continue to put in a solid result, and I actually think the United States solidifies itself as like, whoa, what's going on? So I think we're going to get, we're going to get 2 goals from... We're going to get a goal from Anthony Robinson, 2 goals from Pulisic, and we're going to get a goal from Timothy Weah. And I think that's just where we're going to start to see. Actually, maybe like Ricardo Pepi in this game. Maybe we get like he comes on and gets like a substitution goal. So this is already putting us in a really great position. Uruguay is going to play Bolivia. We've already beaten them 3-0. The score is not really relevant. I think Uruguay is going to beat them. I just have Uruguay just underneath us as kind of like a foreshadowing to what I think is going to happen. Bolivia and Panama, I'm going to give them a 2-2 draw just because I'm not really convinced that either one of them is. I don't actually know much about Bolivia. If I'm being completely honest, they're the team in this group that I know that in this whole tournament that I know the least about. Like, I've watched Peru play a little bit. I've watched Chile play. I've watched Ecuador play. I've seen Venezuela play. I'm familiar with all the CONCACAF teams. I don't know anything about Bolivia, so that one's going to be interesting. The last time the United States played Uruguay, we drew. This one also feels like it's not going to matter too much. And the United States is going to be in the position going, okay, do we want to play Brazil first or do we want to play Colombia first? and how much of a statement are we going to need to make? I believe that if we really have put 7 goals up and it's just us versus Uruguay, I think we might potentially even play for a draw because we'll have goal differential. And so I could see the United States in like a 1-1 draw with Uruguay. And we just don't get much happening there, which will leave the United States in 1, Uruguay in 2. And then I believe it's going to be Bolivia and then Panama. They don't really have any points. I think they're actually tied. They'll be tied, and Bolivia has conceded. Panama has conceded the same. I did it the same, didn't I? With Panama conceding 6, Bolivia conceding 5. So that'll be Bolivia, the way that I got it done. All right. So now let's just go through and we'll fill this part of the bracket out as we sit here and do this. So that leaves us with the Group A winner of Argentina, and it leaves us the Group B runner-up of Jamaica. So here's where like lots of people's brackets are going to start to look exactly the same because there's only so many options and there's only 8 teams that are going to get out of these, right? So you're going to have like this game is going to be wild right here. And I also think that when you look at this and you're looking into predicting like, okay, so like if you know it's going to be, runner up and it's going to be winners, well then you just look at it and you go like, okay, well like who would I like to see play each other? Like wouldn't this be fun for Canada to string it out and play Mexico, right? Wouldn't it be fun if like Mexico played Argentina and somebody else like snuck this group out? Like here's the thing that's so crazy about Group B. Mexico could finish in 4th. Like this group literally could be Ecuador, Venezuela 1-2 with Mexico and Jamaica. This is not because I'm a Concacaf person. I actually have like the least amount of faith in the Concacaf teams, but I just had to do it. I just had to do it. So then that means the Group C winner is us. And then the Group D runner-up is Colombia. So we're going to get that rematch right off the bat. Okay, and this is what I really, really liked, and I said it in the last videos, I really liked about our planning for our friendlies, is our friendlies were against Colombia and Brazil. They were the only 2 options that we were going to play, and we're playing under the assumption that it doesn't matter which one of them gets out of the group in 1st or 2nd, that they're beating Uruguay, which means we're playing both of them no matter what. Okay, so now the Group D winner we're going to see is Brazil, and then the runner-up is going to be Uruguay. I've seen people who have Uruguay winning this tournament. Okay, this game, I think the United States is going to turn it around. I think this game is going to be, it's going to be it's going to be a nail biter, but we're going to get it done and we're going to win 2-1. It's going to be close though. It's going to be one of those like down to the wire. This goal is probably coming in extra time, so the United States is probably going to have to suffer. I mean, my dad calls them the heartbreak or the cardiac kids, just because you're just stressing the whole time, the whole game, no matter what. So I'm thinking the United States gets a goal. I'm thinking Colombia ties it in the second half. I'm actually thinking Colombia scores a second goal, but VAR rules it off. We go into extra time, and the United States scores in the first period of extra time. And I'm actually going to write that on here too, so that this is going to be extra time. We're going to need extra time in this game right here. A little plus. We're going to need extra time for that game. And the United States will score in the first half of extra time, and then we will just be holding on for dear life in the second half. Colombia might even hit the crossbar just to, really panic us out. So this is Brazil and Uruguay. Now, I've watched Brazil play. I've watched Uruguay play. I feel like this game is going to be a slightly higher scoring game. So I think that this game is going to take lots of goals. I think this is going to be 3-2, and I'm almost thinking this game is going to go to penalties. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this game's going to PKs. Brazil defensively didn't look great. We generated a lot of opportunities. Uruguay's midfield is fine. Their strikers are a little bit more dangerous than us, and Brazil's really nasty on the counterattack. So I would expect this game, and like Uruguay plays on the counterattack as well. So I would expect this game to be really back and forth, really, really strung out, but also two teams that if they go into the end of regulation in a draw, it's not going to be a very exciting extra time, maybe a couple bursts here and there, and then after that you're going to see teams kind of just like pack it in and just be like, hey, we're going to go to stoppage time. This game ain't going to be close. It's not because I don't have faith in Jamaica. I just have that much faith in Argentina. And so, like, here's the thing. Okay, when you have to metagame this and we kind of back this up, when you look at this half of the bracket and you think about, like, the strongest sets of teams that you have, right? So, like, here's my highlighter. What happens if I do this? There's one. Are any of these teams, do you think, top 4 teams in the event? No, they're not. Are any of these teams top 4 teams in the tournament? No. Are any of these teams top 4 teams in the tournament? Yeah, I think these two are. Any of these two? Yeah, I think these two are. So, like, look at the draw. The draw was brutal to Group C and D because you're going to have to play one another. They're all right here. So, we're on this side. Like, if we get drawn into Group B, you go 3 and out at Group B as the winner. You play the runner-up to nobody, to literally nobody. So you play 3-4 games doing nothing, and then you have to play one. You play 2 games to try to win Copa America. So most people picking Argentina to win is not like a ridiculous pick because they're not playing anybody. Like, it's not to say that Canada's not good or Peru's not good or Chile. They're good teams. Like, they're in the tournament. Anything can happen, obviously. We watched Argentina drop their first game to Saudi Arabia. Then they won the World Cup, but anything could happen. We could see Argentina, fall to Canada or draw Canada and be in a really, really dicey spot. The same thing with this. But again, do I think any of the teams coming out of Group B are beating Argentina? No. Do I think any of the teams in Group A are, like, consistently? No. Now, granted, it's one game. Do I think Jamaica is going to be able to string enough together for one game? No. Even if Jamaica scores in the first 10 minutes of the game, Jamaica parking the bus and playing a low block is not going to work. Yes, it works against the United States. It's not going to work against anybody else. Anyway, there's my little tirade on that. So then we got Mexico and Canada. Here's what I'd love to see. I think Canada is going to get this game. I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's either going to be extra time or penalties. And I just don't feel like this game will make it to PKs. I feel like these two teams, like, really want to go for it. And so I think that we're going to see Mexico, or not Mexico, we're going to see Canada making a statement under Jesse Marsch and just being like, we're putting the pedal to the metal and we're going to go after it. So that leaves us to the final 4 teams with Argentina and Canada, United States playing Brazil. If the United States beats Brazil, it's going to be so, so tight. Now, basically anything from here is like that. You're going to see the bias in me, right? Like, I really want to see the United States win this whole event. This is about where everybody else got. So when we were looking at it, I'm talking to my brother and I'm talking to Chris and I'm talking to my friends. We sort of agreed the United States is going to make the top 4. And if we make the top 4, then we're good. If we can make the semi, like, I'm not sad. Like, I'm good. I mean, I'm going to be disappointed, but, like, that's where we have to go. If we can't at least make the semis, like, you can't beat a Colombia or an Uruguay again. Like, what's going on? Right now, if we play, so here's the thing. If Colombia wins their group, and we play Brazil in this round right here, it's basically the same thing. So it's not just about the position you make it to. It's about the team that knocks you out. If an Argentina knocks us out, it's probably, it would have to be in the final. Fine with that. It's going to suck to get to the final and lose, but I'm fine with that. If Brazil knocks us out, fine with that. If an Uruguay knocks us out, I'm fine with that. I don't know if I'm fine with Colombia knocking us out. Even in the semis. I just don't know. I just don't know if I'm okay with that. So there's a lot of bits. There's going to be a lot of emotions in this. I also think that, I'm guilty of putting a lot of pressure on this tournament because I really, really, really want to see the United States, like, kind of break out and be able to do this. And I'm using this as kind of like a mini World Cup, so I'm kind of like alluding to, like, oh, well, if the United States can win the Copa America, then, like, the United States can make it to the finals of the World Cup, which, don't get me wrong, it's Brazil and Argentina. The United States wins the Copa America. Like, that's a big deal. Brazil could have hung out in their friendly. And if they were just hanging out and chilling, then we're not, obviously like that result is basically completely pointless and completely worthless. So, then we got Argentina and Canada. So the Argentina-Canada game, I want to believe it's going to be a wild one, and it very well might be. I'm going to give Canada a little bit more of a run than maybe most would. This is a game that I will say this. If Canada gets to this spot in the semifinals against anyone, which is probably going to be Argentina because, again, they're not going to lose to Jamaica. It's not happening. So Argentina is going to the semifinal. If you're a betting person, you should probably take that bet. You should just do it. I think Canada has a shot. They haven't really lost anybody. Now, their result was against a Belgium side, which we're seeing as like pretty poor. So, like, do with that what you will. But I think this game is going to be pretty close, all things considered. And I do think that Argentina is going to take it, and Argentina is going to make it to the final. So, again, think about everything that I set up here. Think about these groups. Yes, Argentina is a great team. You really shouldn't be surprised. Like, this is kind of like if you're like, oh, imagine all these teams were just going to play each other one time, and then whoever finished on top was going to be the person who made the semifinals. You'd pick Argentina. Like, you wouldn't pick any of these other teams because everybody else is pretty evenly matched. And like the same thing with this. Honestly, if these 8 teams all played each other, you probably would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You might do it that way. You might be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, these kind of bounce around a little bit. But anyway, so now we have the United States and Brazil. What do I think is going to happen? So what I want to happen is I want the United States to win 2-0. That's what I want to happen. We're going to concede. Brazil is going to get a goal. So the United States is going to need 2 goals against Brazil. Do I think we can pull that off? I have us pulling it off against Colombia, even though it's going to be super late. I think this game goes to penalty kicks. Just because I don't see us not going to PKs if the game is going to be that tight. So I think this game is going to PKs. Now I'm just going to like fanboy out really hard. I'm going to put the United States 2-1 on PKs. And now here is where I'm going to be super bold. I'm going to be super bold here because here's what I'm thinking. And you guys are probably going like, Tim, that's literally insane. That's not how you spell Canada. This is literally insane for you to be doing this. It's absolutely insane for you to be putting the United States beating Argentina. And you might be right. You very well might be right. I'm going to look you in the eyes while I say this. You might be right. If the United States makes the final, with all the youth, with all the hype, with all the talent, with being at home, preparing to host the World Cup, with all the records we set in Europe, with all the stuff that's going on, I think the United States just comes out absolutely guns blazing. And I think they win. I think they beat Argentina 2-0. I think Brazil beats Canada 2-1. We're going to go 3-1. I think Brazil wins 3-1. And I think the United States is going to win the Copa America. I do. Tim, do you have any other results? Like Tim, can you be a little bit more realistic? Can you stop being so optimistic about the cardiac kids? Can you just listen, my fellow crest-wearing companions? Hear me out. We bleed red, white, and blue. You have to believe this. It's in the song. I believe that we will win. One of the worst chants we've ever come up with because we force soccer culture on our fans because we just can't make it authentic. We can't do it. I think the United States can beat Colombia. No, the United States probably doesn't beat Brazil. Honestly, we probably lose to Brazil 3-0 in the semifinals. I mean, Brazil probably just thumps the crap out of us because they go for it. I think that Brazil will beat us worse than Argentina because I think that Argentina is a much more balanced team and Brazil's much more offense heavy. But we generated a ton of chances against Brazil. And that's all that it's going to take. You generate a ton of chances against Brazil. Moose's shot doesn't hit the crossbar. Like, we just saw this result. So, anyway, it is what it is. Those are my results. You can take it or leave it. You can hate it, love it. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you got to do. But those are my picks. I think the United States makes a run. I think the United States wins the Copa America. And I think that we are going to be solidifying ourselves as a powerhouse team. And I think for potentially the first time in my lifetime, probably actually the first time ever, right? This should be the first time ever that this would have happened. I'm actually going to look this up because I want it, before I say this, I want to be positive. Let's see. Ooh, this is way that is, I don't think that's accurate, but maybe. The US men's national team have doubled. Okay, so in 2021, they cracked the first. So we cracked the top 10 for the first time since May 2006. Where did we rank in 2006? I was reading that it said we ranked 4th. That seems insane. I don't know if we would have done that. Okay, so what I was going to say is the United States is going to achieve the highest ranking that they've ever had in my lifetime. But 4 is wild. I don't know how we got to 4. I don't think any ever in my lifetime did I feel like we were one of the top 4 teams in the world. Like, I don't care what we did ever. Like, we didn't finish. Like, I don't understand how the FIFA World Rankings work because we never even finished in the top. We haven't finished in the top 8, really, right? Like, we really haven't. So I think that the United States wins the Copa America and we get like a legitimate top 5 world ranking that actually bears weight, and gives us some kind of credibility, and the rest of the world looks at us and goes, actually, you know what? I think they might actually be it. So anyway, if you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever, if you've enjoyed this, you want to see more predictions, more videos like this, we're trying to make videos every Tuesday. We are going to be smashing videos out during the Copa America. I'm going to do my best to bring you daily updates if I can. I really shouldn't commit to that because I won't. It'll probably be like weekly-ish updates every so often, but maybe I'll try to make 10, 15-minute videos just to give you a breakdown of the day. If you like that, go ahead, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified when we make a new video and launch that new video. Go ahead, list your comments below. Tell us who you think is getting it and tell me how crazy you think I am, or if you're a fellow crest-wearing believer and you think that the United States is going to win. Can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, go red, white, and blue. We'll see you on Sunday, 5 p.m. Coverage starts. 6 p.m., I think, is the kickoff. The United States versus Bolivia, Copa America. Red, white, and blue. Let's go. I believe.